Hey, welcome to A Foreigner in the Philippines. I'm a little surprised at the number of comments on the properties that we have done the favor on. Okay, just to reiterate that we did those videos because we were asked to, and the people that are selling them, they're doing their best to, I mean, obviously what's happening is that they are using the contact that they have with us, as we are video makers, and have come forward and said, do you think you could help us by putting a video up, because the Alzheimer's place, the Alzheimer man and the couple, their place apparently is sold. Now, we're not anything to do with these sales. We're not giving out, we don't know any more detail than you have seen on the videos. That's as much detail as we have. We've done a walk around, that's all, and we've asked the questions that we feel would be important to anybody that was interested in buying. Now, let me just go over something that just doesn't seem to, it's dead, but it just doesn't seem to lie down. Probably because we have a lot of new subscribers coming in all the time, and I guess because we don't number our videos, it is difficult to keep up with exactly when things were done. So let me just go over a few of the basic details if you're going to buy. First of all, if you're an expat, you can't buy. So by definition, you either must find a way to do it. If you don't have a wife, you must have some kind of way of doing it, which we're not going to go into because we're getting enough flack anyway about the law. So let's assume then that it's a good time for you, and you're coming to the Philippines and you're going to buy a place with your wife. Okay, now there are people that are in a piece of property and they're not actually married. We can think of quite a few couples, and they've succeeded in being able to do what has to be done. Now, whichever way you look at it, it requires a great deal of trust in your partner, and that is well, it's a given. I don't own anything. No matter what I put into a property, no matter what we do here, no matter what we buy, I don't own a vehicle, I don't own anything. Okay, got the clothes I stand up in, requires trust. Now, if you're going to assume that there is a great deal of trust that's required, then you better do your homework and find a good woman who will not betray that trust, and that seems to be obvious. Now, so given that you have found the lady of your dreams, and it's the love of your life, and you trust completely, I guess there are different ways that you can protect yourself. You can lease the property once that once the sale has gone through and it's in your wife or girlfriend's name, you can lease that property. That's what I assume. Haven't had any interest or motivation to do anything like that, but that's what I hear is the way to do it. Okay, now it's not so different here to wherever you go in the world. If I want to buy a property in my homeland of the UK, I don't go knock on the door and saying, I'd like to buy the property, here's 350,000, can you move out tomorrow? I don't do that. I go to an attorney. The attorney contacts the attorney of the seller. This is how they do it in the UK. So he contacts the attorney of the seller, or the real estate, the realtor, and the professional people handle the sale. They handle all of the different insurances and fees that need to be handled. In the US, they have it down to a fine art. They have title companies who will make sure that there is nothing owing, no hidden expenses, no bad surprises to find out that actually the person you paid all your money to doesn't even own the thing. So all of that is a given in somewhere like the States, where they have had their fair share of scams and continue to have their fair share of scams. So you get yourself an attorney. The attorney handles the legal side of things, and what you would probably want to do is you would want to go and get a surveyor. And a surveyor comes in and they survey the property, and while they're surveying it they put down the new markers, which are concrete blocks like this, if you want, which are about 4 or 5 inches across a round block of concrete. And they sink that down and they clear whatever needs to be so that that can be assessed. Now somebody thought it was very strange that anybody would use a coconut tree or a mango. It's a different country, so expect that things are done differently. Don't start coming in and thinking that everything's going to be done like it is in America or Germany. It's not that way. And don't forget that you are leaving your native country because you are tired of the way that things are done. So don't leave where you are and then get here and try to make it like you've just left. You just ran away from that from one reason and another. So be happy that you're here and find out how things are done. Find out the ways that you can be cheated if you wish. Find out the ways that things can go right, things can go wrong, how things are done, and just do your due diligence, just the same as you would if you were in your own country. You know, if you went out to buy a car in Germany or went out to buy a car in America, you wouldn't go there and offer the money before you'd looked at the paperwork for the vehicle. And you'd go around and probably you'd kick the tires a bit and you'd have a look at the oil in the gearbox, and or transmission I should say, and have a look at what the smoke looks like when you first start up the motor, and you'd want to know the mileage and all of that. You'd do your due diligence. You would find out what was necessary. Now, people keep coming in and saying as if it's some blindingly new information. An expat can't buy anything in the Philippines. Okay, we got it. Everybody got that. Now, there are things that you can buy as an expat, apparently, and don't quote me on this. I'm just passing on little things that I've heard. It doesn't interest me because that's never going to happen. But you can buy a condo, apparently. You don't own the land that it sits on, so you're going to have a big packing challenge when you actually leave to go. Being facetious, you are protected even then, and even then you have to be sure that you are getting the right deal, and you would hope that your attorney would protect you on all of those things, and you would be sure to ask him the questions so that you go in forearmed. So let's not have this you're not allowed to buy in here, and you've got to look at this and you've got to look at that. Surely anybody who's going to part with 350,000, as has been seen with the Alzheimer's property, and any of the others, the 1.2, the 1.8 million, whatever they are, you need to look at it. You need to be sure of where everything is before you hand over money, and surely that is a given. You know, I'm not the brightest of guys, and I'm not experienced in all of these high money matters, but I know to protect myself to some degree. The rest, as I say, in a relationship is trust. Well, you may be trusting or you may not be, and that of course will tell volumes about you yourself. We just had one sad story that was posted in the comments, and I advised the man who posted that to stop telling that story. It was a very sad story of being cheated and betrayed and walking away thinking that, well, thinking that you'd never trust anybody again. If you've been unfortunate enough to have such a situation, and believe me, I got my own sad stories, I got my own terrible things that happened to me. Look what happened to me. I stopped telling those stories because if you keep telling them, it's like playing energy over them again. I don't know, like washing your car and then washing it again, and only this time you're not getting clean, you're getting dirty. Don't keep telling your sad stories. Tell them, and then be quiet about them. You know? There was a movie that I saw, quite a famous movie, and in it, on a first date, the man starts to tell his story, and the girl looks at him and she says, "Let's not tell any sad stories." And boy, that had a big impact on me, and I stopped telling my sad stories. I was with someone who used to tell of the terrible things that her former partner had said to her. Well, you're this and you're that and you're nothing and you're useless at things, and who would look at... And she's telling me about those things. And then he said this about me, and then he said I'd never... Said, he did quite a job on you, didn't he? And she said, yes, he did. I said, and now you've taken over the job, and now you're doing the job for him. Stop telling your sad stories, learn from them, and move on. That's the best thing to do. Okay, now, let me just give you a few impressions of those 5 properties that we looked at. We looked at Steve, the Australian, and his lady, and we looked at his, well, we didn't look at them, we looked at the property that they're on. He paid something under $1 million for, I think it was 2 hectares, and he's got so much land. He's got rice fields stretching away into the distance, tons of them. He was estimated at 100 bags of rice. That's finished rice, milled, the whole thing. And he will now have the life, if he wishes, of being a farmer, or he can just live in those idyllic situations and let somebody else farm the rice fields for them. So there's all kinds of ways of doing it, but he paid around 900 or 950,000, I've forgotten which. Now, some of the properties that we looked at were really beautiful. They were in gorgeous surroundings, but they were different surroundings to what, if you follow our videos, to what Beth and I have. When Beth and I get up in the morning, we can walk out the door and we can see for miles in every direction. We live in the middle of rolling hills, hundreds of miles of them. We are a little bit far from the road. All of those properties do not enjoy the kind of view that we have. They have their own kind of view. The one that I think was priced at 1.2 million was the one that was on the hill. And boy, if you just wanted to have a beautiful piece of land and build a lovely house, you could build that on the top of that hill. It was a perfect situation. I'm not selling this now, just giving my impressions. that was what I thought. I thought, wow, I said to Beth, you know, this would be the one that I would be interested, because I don't want to be a farmer. There was a small house on there that was already built, and if you moved in, I don't know, you could get someone like the Superman team would go in and they'd knock that house into shape in no time at all. You could live in that while you were having your beautiful designer house built on top of the hill. Roll down the hill and you're right on the road. I thought that was just perfect and open to negotiation, as all of those properties are. They're all open to negotiation. So I liked all of the properties, but some of them had things to do which I wouldn't have been interested in doing. Now, the house for the lot that was on the hill, it didn't have much clearing to do. So, and it went right back. When you got to the top of the hill, there was other undergrowth and trees and so on, and that could be cleared enough. But that would be the kind of property that I would have. But then Steve was quite different. Steve and Amy, they have a little tiny house that they're living in now. They're clearing the area. They're putting the road in. See, different problems. You wouldn't have that problem if you were going into the hill. But then on another one, still you had easy access to the road. The road is flat, bumpy. Gotta tell you, it's bumpy, but it's not like ours. It's not one of those where you'd ever get stuck. You'd never get stuck on that road. We can still get stuck, believe me. So all of these properties, they've all got their own appeal. They've all got their own price. They've all got the ability or the willingness to negotiate on the price. You need to get out here and look at them for yourself. So, to repeat again, we have told you on the video as much of the details as we know ourselves. So, getting in touch with us and saying, is it this or is it that, or is a waste of time, because all that we're going to say is look at the end of the video for the name and the contact number. And that lady, she may be a little bit difficult to get hold of, but she told us that she's been having calls from New York and other places in the world. So, well, that's why she came back to us and asked us if we would do the other videos. And apparently there are more there. Plus, if you look in the comments on all of these houses and properties that are generating comments, there's one there where someone is trying to sell a small farm, and it's in a good area, and those people, I'm taking it that those people are a Filipino American couple, and they want to sell. And so there's so much that you can do here for comparatively little money. And are there risks? Of course there are, if you just blunder around thinking that you know everything. None of us know everything. So go in, find out, do your due diligence. That's what you would do in any case. If you come out here and buy a car, you're going to do that. Whatever happens, I don't know, if you go to see the dentist, wouldn't you find somebody else who had some treatment from that dentist and was willing to give him some kind of referral? Of course you would. You go to a doctor that's been recommended to you. You do these things naturally in your own country. Do them here. So, I hope this helps and puts to rest some of the endless questions and endless statements as if it's nobody ever thought of this. If you're an expat, you can't buy a place. Oh, gosh. Now that I know that, I'm so relieved. Done with the best of intentions, but we've done it to death already. Okay, so good luck. You may even as you are watching me now, you may even be our neighbor. Great. Let us know. Come and see us. And bye for now. This is a foreigner in the Philippines.